yeah. God is good.
You started being more interested in Christianity and kind of diving into Christianity during college. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm going to revert back to my childhood a little bit because I know my family's born Buddhist. My uncle actually became Christian, and with and another aunt from my mom's side. I remember my parents were chill. They let me explore. They're like, okay, anything that's not, like Satanism or like that. They're like, but it's like, my dad's like, my mom and dad are like, okay, it's chill. You go to church, So I went to church. It was a Protestant church, non-denominational. Oof, that's a hard word right there. You can tell how slow I am, right? But yeah, I remember going to church. I remember praying and getting to know Jesus. And for some odd reason, in my perspective, I was like, oh, I think this is real. This relationship with Jesus. I remember praying throughout high school. I'm like, oh God, please let me go on this exam, this, that. But then, other than that, then actually having a relationship, like just being able just to pray. I didn't even know who I was praying to be honest. I didn't even know how to pray. I just remember closing my arms, closing my eyes, and just praying. And then I remember in college, I took it was like the honors dorm intro to the Bible. And I was just like, man, this class is really hard. I don't understand anything that's going on, but I remember I met this guy he was actually Catholic. Okay. And I remember, this is probably a really dumb story, but I remember like, man, I lost my bike that my dad bought. It was really expensive. And I was like, I don't have no clue. So he told me like, hey, you're interested to go to I don't know what we were doing. I remember we went to, I think it's Adoration. I don't know. I just remember we went there. And I remember we were just praying. And it was just, I remember there was this portrait of Mary. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to pray, And I was like, I remember like coming back and it was in the middle of, I don't remember all the campuses anymore. The UNC, I think it was like where you buy all the books and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I just remember walking. I was like, oh, dude, that's my bike. I'm like, holy crap. I remember I felt so like, relieved, like the strictness of our parents. It's something so small, like, oh, I lost a bike, but my dad spent like $1,000 on it. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm tripping, right?
The trauma comes out.
The trauma comes out. Oh no, I don't want to get yelled at. I don't want to get punished. But I was like, oh, dude, oh, thank God I found it, right? But I just remember I actually started trying to join a Christian fraternity, and I just remember those guys are just really good guys, but I think I felt like I was having FOMO and missing out on kind of like the partying scenes. But I don't know, man. I wish I pulled through with that Christian fraternity because I felt a sense of brotherhood there. There were really good guys who really had really good morals, always had questions, always questioning their faith. And I decided to join a different fraternity and went down a bad rabbit hole there, man. It was...
Dude, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Dude, it was so interesting because I felt like everything in that, when you think about like a brotherhood, you're trying to find some good friends, like lifelong friends, but it's funny. I don't even talk to any of those guys. I've never even, I've seen some of the guys at weddings and stuff like that, but it's just a sense of disconnection, man. And it's sad because like, it's like a false sense of brotherhood, It's a false sense like, oh, I remember like when we were getting drilled, for like I forgot what's called Man, I forgot. I remember like when you're trying to go through the fraternity, you got to go through all this nonsense stuff before you actually make it into the fraternity. And I just remember like, oh no, I'm your brother. I'll be there for you. Here and there. We're lifelong. This is a lifelong brotherhood. But it's not. It's not. It's just fabricated. And it's nothing like just true friendship. It was all kind of like false. It's like it's a sense of fakeness, you guys were just there just to go party, get drunk, and do dumb stuff.
Well, it's fraternity, but rooted in what? And oftentimes it's fraternity rooted in drinking, partying, girls, and that stuff doesn't last at all.
Oh no.
I remember certain times in my fraternity where I would get in trouble. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I needed to talk to someone. But when you try to find someone to talk to, there was no one there because no one really cared, unless it was something to do with partying, something to do with, your getting up in your standard or bettering your fraternity house, X, Y, and Z. Besides that, though, no one, when things really hit the fan, when things got really bad, no one was really there. I had to experience that myself. And it's those things where it's fraternity rooted in what? Yes. Those vices. And it leads to nothing.
Yeah, dude, I felt so lost when I was in there, dude. Like, it felt like, oh man, I made it. I have friends now. I didn't, dude. I remember I had to leave that fraternity, and basically I felt like a lost sheep. Like like I felt so lost in college. I didn't know, like, man, I'm flunking out. I don't know what to do. What should I do? And dude, it was. I did not like my college experience. I'm being honest.
It's all right, dude. It's ebb and flow. It's never just linear, right? There's high moments and there's super low moments. Yes. But then after college, right? What did you do after college? When you graduated, what did you graduate with?
So I graduated with a computer science degree. It was during the good old COVID times. So, man, finding a job was pretty hard. I remember I got a job for a software company, and it only lasted for I think 6 months, man. I was like, man, I remember I would wake up, crawl out of my bed to my little desk, and get screamed at by someone who's not even in this country. It's like somewhere totally different. And I was like, man, this is miserable. I do not like this job at all. I mean, sitting there typing code for 7 hours straight was just mind numbing.
I could imagine.
Oh,
that is my nightmare. Dude, sitting behind for a screen for 8 hours a day just coding. That is my nightmare.
That was my nightmare too, man.
But it was funny because I told myself I could do that because my parents wanted me to do it.
Yes.
I was like, this is the moneymaker. This is something this is the pinnacle of success right here. If I can do this. No, I couldn't do it at all. It was.
Dude, I woke up one day. I was like, this is horrible. I got to get out.
Okay. So you graduated, you were working this job. And then I think at this point where Tao Dan started coming in, right?
Yes. So
tell a little bit of that story. How did you guys meet? And who made the first move? And how did that relationship blossom?
So, again, this is during COVID time, right? So it was like a friend of a friend. So I met this other person through Tinder. Became really good friends. It was kind of funny. A lot of people I met on that online dating scene I became pretty good friends with. But then she was like, hey, I want you to introduce you to one of my most wholesome friends because I think you're very wholesome. Like, I don't know what that means, but so I think it was right after graduation, she made this little Facebook message thing and put both of us together. I'm like, hey, I think you guys would be good together. Talk. And she left the group chat. I was like, okay, hi. I'm literally just texting. And then it became to I'm texting her these novels. It was pages of text messages. I was just like, it'll take me the whole day to reply. It'll take her a whole day to reply. And I just remember wow, I've never talked to someone like this before. And the way she thought was outside the box. And I think something I really appreciated her was her love for Jesus. And I think I never felt, I'll say it. Sorry. I've never really met someone like that before, who's truly just had this loving, innocent sense of what it means to follow Jesus, and
sense of joy, right?
Sense of joy. It seems like she was just so happy and happy over herself too. And I just was really attracted with that. I was like, wow, this is it's a sense of security in my perspective as a person who's dated a lot of people who kind of cheated on me. I've never felt a sense of security of talking to someone like that.
Yeah, it's funny because so I knew her as a good friend in my youth group, and so we'd see each other every Sunday. We'd do a lot of things for the youth group, And she was always kind of that stability factor, like kind of like that rock of faith. We would go through a lot of stuff. We would kind of go through a lot of tribulation within our youth group. But for her, faith was always a central part. And she was so joyful in that. And she had so much energy. So I saw that. And I saw that on a different side. I was working with her, but then you saw that on a romantic side.
Yes.
But it's so beautiful because it kind of allows a relationship, something to grow that's so much more than superficial. Like dating other people when it wasn't like Christ-centered was so different. Dude. It was just so superficial. It was pointless. And at the end of the day, it was so pointless. Whereas I think when you started meeting people and actually dating someone, like my wife now, when her and I started dating, it was truly Christ-centered. And yeah, it was so beautiful in the fact that we blossomed together with Christ. And we had to do some hard conversations, but it's all Christ-centered. Yes. And that was such a beautiful aspect. Thank you so much for tuning to our content. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe and share with your family and friends. If you're looking for more content, please click on our image below. I'll take you to our YouTube channel and see what else we have to offer. Here at Coffee and Clay, we are also a growing ministry, which means we have more expenses and equipment to pay for. If you feel called to, please visit our website and donate. Any amount is much appreciated. Prayers are always welcomed and needed. Thank you so much. God bless. Grab your cup and remember that God is good.